So an ideal morning, well, really just every morning that you're here, it's super special. You can watch the sunrise. You have roseate spoonbills flying, down the river. It's just the pure essence of old Florida, and there's very little development. You don't really see a ton of commercialization as far as even our restaurants. It's just a very homey place. All of the people around here are so friendly, and I think that's a huge part of the preservation. But what are we going to do now about the influx of development? It just seems like every year it doubles.
So when I think of Crystal River and Homosassa, I immediately think of all the state-owned land, all the reserves and federally protected property that exists around the water. And why is that important? Well, if you go to any watershed around the state of Florida, any shoreline, with the exception of the national parks, and all you see is development. All you see is houses and hotels and condominiums and seawalls and big boats and dredged out channels. And in Homosassa and in Crystal River, all the way up the Nature Coast, all you see is natural Florida.
So Benny, I don't know if you saw the sign as we were idling out of the ramp that said "Save Ozello, no rezoning."
Yeah, I saw that. What was that? What's that about?
So recently, the community just voted down basically to not allow rezoning for some hotels and some commercial development to come into Ozello.
Awesome. What's amazing is when you look at a map on the state of Florida, you see all this, new development, all this urban development, and then you have this corner of the state that's completely protected.
Right.
And, going around the state, there are very few places that are protected anymore.
I couldn't agree more. That's one of the big reasons that I actually moved here as well. I really got burned out over the years fishing where I grew up and where my family homesteaded in Fort Myers, and it just, the more development I see, the less I want to be there, to be honest with you.
Lacey is maybe the most legit female charter captain in the state of Florida. On top of that, I've known her for a while, and she's easily one of the best fly casters on the planet. So one of my dearest friends is Captain Kayla McGuire. Her and her husband, Corey McGuire, are full-time guides on the southwest coast of Florida, and they're die-hard fishermen. When they have a day off, they go fishing. If they have an early afternoon and there's still sunlight, they go fishing. And they're my kind of people.
Oh, there he is.
There you go. Redfish. Yes.
Stink.
I don't care. We'll take it.
Kayla, cast up in that cut. If there's one there, there's going to be more.
Lacey's knowledge came into play immediately. Lacey cast at a point that we knew there was going to be some fish on. She actually called it, and she gets slammed by a nice redfish. I know it's not on fly, and I know it's not a big tarpon, but it's a beautiful redfish.
Beautiful Ozello redfish, man.
Good job.
So I guided in out of Punta Rassa and then Port Sandoval Marina for it's probably eight to 10 years, roughly around. I started my guide career there, and I single-handedly watched our fishery become more and more depleted. And so I actually did a stint where I actually moved to Belize for about 3 years and just fly fished and worked out of a fly shop and really kind of regrouped. And I came here to this area for an article for the Miami Herald, and I kind of looked around. I'm like, what? I didn't realize that this was still left in Florida. Like, this looks like what I remember as a child, but even better.
So last week I was fishing with my daughters, and I told them I'm coming in a week and I'm going to fish with my friend Lacey and Kayla. And my middle daughter looks at me with surprise. She says, "But she's a girl." And I said, "Yeah." She goes, "I didn't know girls could be guides."
Aww.
And so one of the things I certainly want to accomplish with the show, among all the other things, is to show that there are badass female anglers in this industry, and that there's nothing to keep a female from being anything she wants to be in this industry.
It's cool to see a lot of the younger girls kind of getting into it. And
Sure.
I think that's the importance, though, is you as a dad taking him out there and setting that foundation, because we both probably would have never became guides without
my dad.
Our dads taking us out on the water.
The first time I met Lacey Kelly, I was 12, and she probably doesn't remember, but she was fishing the Cabbage Key Open, and I remember her pulling in on her boat, the only female captain, and she rocked the whole tournament. And I remember thinking, I want to be just like her when I grow up.
Accurate, but that works.
Girl.
Yes, that's a good fish. Dang, thank God we brought Lacey.
Benny, did you get that, Dan?
They're getting bigger. They're growing.
Awesome.
Way to go, Lace.
I do what I can when I
bet
can.
you that was that same fish.
Oh, I'm sure. He turned around and ate it.
He just relaxed right there for a second and she smoked him.
That's awesome.
Hey, buddy. Hey, bud.
Yeah, they did get bigger.
Yes,
He told his friends.
Lacey, I know the time's up, but thank you so much for spending time with us, giving us your time, your expertise, and being an awesome example for all the little girls out there who don't know whether they should be in the industry or not, but they absolutely can.
They can totally do it.
Yeah.
This is it. We're setting the stage, right, Kayla?
We are. All about setting the example.
We expect at least one of your daughters to become a guide.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's too much pressure.
This segment is brought to you by Yozuri. Fish the best. Florida Sportsman Watermen is sponsored in part by these fine companies.
So I had an opportunity to come up and highlight this fishery, but it's not just one fishery. It literally is the entire nature coast. And I wanted to do that as much as possible in this show. So Lacey was my first call, but I absolutely wanted to get up into Crystal River itself and fish with my good friend, Captain Billy Nast.
When you have PTSD, you set unrealistic expectations for yourself.
For sure.
So even though you have all this wonderful peace out here and all that stuff, it's still at times so overwhelming because of the chemical imbalance in your brain. So it's like, okay, if somebody calls me and they want to go red fishing, I've thought about how we're going to go red fishing 5,000 times before that person got on the boat. It's not healthy, you know what I'm saying? But no matter how bad it is at the end of the day, when you wake up the next day to do it again, I'm excited, bro.
Yeah.
No matter what. I mean, it doesn't matter. I am excited all over again, just like I am right now. I mean, you know.
So Billy and I don't fish alike at all. And that's maybe one of my favorite things about this show, is that we are trying to keep it as diverse as possible. Florida isn't just about fly fishing, it isn't about big tarpon, it isn't about redfish or trout, it's about all of the above. And Billy makes his living bait fishing in all forms and fashions.
He got it, he got it. Oh, you got him?
Yeah, I got him.
All right. There we go. All right, I'm gonna go loosen it for you. There we go. I'm gonna probably pull that anchor, dude. We're gonna have to go.
Okay, just unclip that.
Just unclip it, Benny.
Unclip it anywhere you want.
All right, buddy. What a eat, dude.
That was awesome.
That was a nasty eat, Benny.
He was all excited about these sharks and trying to tell me how great they are. And I, of course, know we catch spinner sharks in South Florida, and they're amazing animals.
The way he ate it, he looked like be about a 100-pound black-tip, but
Yeah.
it ain't a spinner because he didn't jump.
No, he would have jumped right away.
There's a lot of stuff I could tell you. Like I said, I've been in trauma counseling for a long time. Any kind of abuse you can imagine, I went through it. And I don't want to talk about all that kind of stuff, but years and years and years, juvenile detention, caught with a lot of drugs, in and out of trouble. I mean, you name it, gangs. I mean, you know, I grew up in the projects on the south side of Chicago, and when I was in college, all I ever did was just read about tarpon fishing in Homosassa. That's all I wanted to do was learn how to tarpon fish.
Yeah, so it saved you before you even got to the water.
100%, I knew what I wanted to do when I was in college. I went to school, got my MBA, you know, worked really hard, thought I was gonna go into business and stuff, and I just started reading more and more about tarpon, literally becoming obsessed to the point where I bought a place in Isla Mirada and was gonna go down there and be a guide, but you know, I started fishing here because this is where I moved because of the Homosassa tarpon.
Right.
And I found out fly fishing wasn't really my thing, and it's not everybody's thing, but tarpon was my thing, right?
And the water's the common denominator. It's that hunt of the fish. It's the appreciation for having these places. And I mean, you are as appreciative of the water as that guy who lives in Islamorada who only fly fishes for 20 years. It's the same thing. While we were catching sharks, all Billy could talk about was going back inside on this outgoing tide to try to catch a river tarpon. And you know, I've been in tarpon season for like 3 months now, 4 months now, and I've seen plenty of tarpon. I didn't really care whether we caught tarpon or not, but Billy absolutely was all about the tarpon.
Cool. Hell yeah.
That's not a tarpon.
No. You got him though?
Yeah, it's just
Over you. Oh, it is a tarpon. It's a tarpon, Benny. 100-pounder, buddy.
He's off.
Oh,
Dude, I don't know what the hell happened there, but like,
hey,
it went super slack, and then
he ate it and came towards you, bro. Hey, that was a 100-pounder, son.
you could just see Billy get so excited, and I was so happy for him that we actually hooked a tarpon. I really didn't want to let him down. You can tell that moment is what Billy lives for. That's what keeps him going. That's what keeps him sane, and I'm so thankful that we hooked a tarpon for Billy.
Join us for this week's On the Conservation Front as we dive deeper into critical water issues facing the state. Florida Sportsman has been leading the fight on the conservation front lines for over 50 years.
Let's join Preston Robertson, CEO and President of Florida Wildlife Federation, for a discussion on the Crystal River region and some of the healthiest seagrass beds in Florida. Preston, the very name Crystal River says clean, healthy waters, and it is. Is that because it's spring-fed river?
Well, it's because it's spring-fed. Crystal River is about 7 miles long, and it's fed by about 30 wonderful freshwater springs. But the reason why it's so pure, as pure as it is because most of the land in the watersheds around these springs and the watershed of the river itself are all protected. So there's no pollution, or a lot less pollution going into them.
Now, state scientists recently mapped seagrass off this coast and found much of the area is stable or even increasing in density. Can you comment on that?
Sure, I think that's great news, and it may well be the only place in state marine waters where that's true. It's a reflection to me of the fact that all these waters, or at least most of them, springs and the rivers, are protected and have buffers around them to keep the pollutants out of them. Because when you have pollutants coming in and you have turbidity issues and the water darkens up, the seagrasses can't grow, and that's not happening here.
Some say the scallop is the canary in the coal mine for the seagrass here. How about some other bright spots fishing-wise, other species?
Redfish are great here, sea trout, flounders, tarpon are here, and which are a lot rarer up north of here. So there's some great recreational opportunities here. Scalloping is fantastic.
This segment is brought to you by Hells Bay Boat Works, the world's finest shallow water skiffs. Florida Sportsman Watermen is sponsored in part by these fine companies.
We fished Homosassa and Ozello, and we went north and fished Crystal River with Billy. And the next logical move is to go south and to fish with my really good friend, Captain Brian DePerick.
All these docks I used to fish as a kid, I grew up probably 3 blocks inside of that. And now I still live down this same street. I came back home after I was done playing ball. It's a great fishery, man. My son fishes off the dock in the afternoons. We're all born and raised right here, my dad, my mom. So it's cool to kind of have my kids experience the same thing that I am.
I've known Brian for a long time. Without a doubt, Brian is the coolest dude on this planet. I mean, he is hardworking and honest and humble like nobody I know.
I've grown up on the water, you know, I've seen it since I was a kid, I've been on it, I've experienced it. So this is everything from my livelihood, from my father's livelihood, from some of my best friends' livelihood. You know, we depend on this water, we depend on the fishery. You know, that's how we put food on our table. Yep. Get him, Kayla. Had a girl.
Kayla.
Come on, let me see you.
Big redfish?
Yeah, it feels like it.
Might be.
Thanks, bro.
Grouper.
Grouper.
Nice.
Look at that leader.
Look at the frayed leader. Holy cow.
It's a nice gag.
Nice. Good job,
It's a
Kayla.
keeper gag.
Sweet.
Keeper gag. No way, Kayla. Good job.
It's the first gag on the show.
Is it?
Yeah.
Awesome.
It was a good fight. We knew it wasn't a snook.
No.
Oh, like I said, nice work.
Thanks, guys.
All right, let's do that again.
Being able to come up and fish the Nature Coast is a little bit bittersweet. Like I said, growing up fishing Pine Island Sound, I've watched it become overdeveloped, and it is sad, but being able to fish a different fishery and still enjoy it, it's sad. Somebody should have protected what we had down there.
Right now it's pretty cool because I'm watching them keep their baits out of the rocks. I'm watching their rod tips. And what they're doing is they're just kind of lifting that bait up because them grunts, the way they're hooked. There she's on. Atta girl, come on.
Well, I've been lucky to spend a lot of time on the water with Benny and learn a lot from him. And I am probably a little spoiled having a husband that also does this. So I have people teaching me from all over the place. And when I get the opportunity to jump on a boat with someone like Captain Brian, it's something that you're never going to forget. I mean, you're always going to learn something new from someone else.
I don't see any snooky action going on here. Free to go wherever you need to go.
That's
nice
one.
snook.
Go ahead, walk him over here, Kayla. There you go. Atta girl.
Yeah, you can walk back. You're good.
Face up, face up.
Yes.
Atta girl, way to get it done.
Way to go, guys.
So,
Good job, B. Sweet. My
That's what we're
bait was
after.
all nervous too. Thank God we brought Kayla. Dang. Dang. That's a great snook, Kayla.
It is.
Thanks for catching it, because I can't.
That's what we're after.
That's right. All right, I'll give her a good push and let her go. Yes. Good job. Good job.
This segment is brought to you by Frog Togs. Designed for you, created for the outdoors.
I came out of high school and grew up playing baseball and fishing. That was my life. That was the only thing I wanted to do, was play baseball and fish. That was it. The only two things that matter in life for me. So I had a good run. I was fortunate. I got drafted out of high school. I played just shy of 10 years professionally. Played for the Cubbies, the Astros, and the Blue Jays. Baseball was a great time of my life. And then when it was time for me to step aside and do something else, I kind of followed in the footsteps of my dad, and I became a fishing guide. When I get to come out here and I got to fish with Benny and Kayla today, it was a great experience for me. And the competitive nature steps in because I fished with Benny before, and Benny put me on fish every time I'm on his boat. So now it was my turn to return the favor.
Go back, terrorizing those mullet and making some babies.
So that's kind of how my baseball career has kind of transferred over into my charter captain, fishing career is, I have that competitive nature, man. I'm not on the clock when I'm fishing. I know Benny's not on the clock when he's fishing. We're out here to produce, we're out here to have fun. We love what we do, we love the water, and we love getting tight.
There she is.
Nice
Oh,
fish.
That's a good one.
That's a good one.
If we don't have healthy estuaries, we don't have a job. There's a direct effect. We can go through the grind as guides day in and day out, and maybe we're a little fried from the sun at times and we're tired, but taking the time to preserve it is just as important, because with that mentality that, I'm only here for so long and I'm gonna take what I can, that's the same mentality that destroys everything, basically. So I think we are the only ones. Who else is gonna do it? Who else cares about fish as much as we do? Who else cares about the habitat as much as we do?
We caught a lot of snook, and they were all big. I mean, all big by any measure. But there was one that, from the jump, from the bite, you could tell it was a big fish.
So growing up, like I said, I spent a lot of time on the water with my dad, and the first snook that I ever caught was 28 inches, and I was sitting on the back of the boat on the poling platform, and my dad and my brother are out wading the flats, and I hooked into that snook, and my mom came running to the back of the boat and had to grab the back of my shorts to keep me from falling off the boat when I hooked that fish. So snook always has a special place in my heart. Caught a snook before I caught my first tarpon, so there will always be number one. Sorry, I'm trying to swing her over.
No, you're good.
Ooh, nice fish.
She's mad.
She's hot. The economy relies on this an incredible amount. I mean, you have all the beaches, these white sandy beaches. People come from all over the world to walk on our beaches, you know? Clean water, white sandy beaches. I mean, that's what it's all about, vacationing in Florida.
I am absolutely humbled by the level of talent that I was able to fish with on this show. To be able to share Ozello with Lacey Kelly and Kayla, and to go fish Crystal River with Bill Nast, and to fish south with Captain Brian DePerick was absolutely a pleasure of mine. The takeaway from this area is that if we can protect the estuaries and watersheds that we have, if we can find a way to conserve and protect them, that we'll have fish like this in beautiful places like this for future generations to enjoy.